A gift.
Papa.
No.
Hey bros, how's it going? Chris Cohen here, and today I got a question for you. Are you guys fans of Bleach or anime in general? In case you guys are, check my Insta on what I've been working on, and it would be freaking sick if you guys can show me some love and follow me on Instagram as well, so we can get that thing to 10k, because it's kind of ridiculous now. Like, YouTube is here and Instagram is like down there. So that would be awesome, guys. I would really appreciate it. And with that said, today we're gonna take a look at Far Cry 6 reveal cinematic, and look who's in it. Giancarlo Esposito, like, which is pretty sick. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen Breaking Bad, it's quite funny, because since Breaking Bad, he's been kind of like typecasted as this like villain kind of like figure with like this very like intimidating aura on him, which is pretty funny. But I mean, he did a sick job, so kudos to you, mate. And he's in Mandalorian and he has the Darksaber, so how sick is that? So we're gonna check out the Far Cry 6 reveal cinematic as well as its title sequence, which I think should be pretty sweet, because we haven't done a title sequence. And we're gonna get back to Overwatch and all the other recommendations, as I thought this could be a cool break for us, guys, just to get started with something new. As always, guys, let me know what you want to see down below, as well as your favorite part. Now, today's episode is brought to you guys by the awesome people at Skillshare. Skillshare is an amazing online desk support community full of creative lessons to help you get started with your passion today. Whether you're interested in things like I am, for example, filmography, photography, editing, coloring, or something more crafty, let's say props making or anything else, Skillshare is a great place to be. But you know what the sick part is, guys? Once more, they're gonna bring a free, premium, 2 months subscription to only the first 1,000 of you guys to help you get started with your passion, which is pretty freaking sick. That's the best way to start with this, because you can get into it, see if it's something that fits you, get started with lessons, and then see how it goes and take it from there, which is like the best way to start. Make sure to follow my link in the description below, guys, and get your free slot today. On a personal level, I've used Skillshare in the past and I'm gonna use it again. In the past, I used it to get my notes up to task when it came to assisting with a production company on a different project. But now I'm starting to play around with props making, because props can be expensive, but it's an essential thing for like video stuff. So I'm pretty pumped. Again, guys, do not miss out. It's free for 2 months. Premium subscription only for the first 1,000 of you guys. Link in the description below. And with that said, let's fire up YouTube and check Far Cry 6 cinematic. So, full screen may contain content. I bet it is. 1, 2, 3, and go! Damn! Whoa. Cool transition. Oh, he's wearing headphones. That's smart. Here's the man.
It's beautiful, amigo.
His voice.
Perfect, but useless. I have something for you, Diego.
But
Give me your
useless.
hands.
A gift.
Papa.
Now, the grenade is simple. It has 4 basic parts. The shell, which contains the explosive, the fuse, the handle, and of course,
The
the
pin.
pin.
What the?
What are you doing?
Breathe, Diego. Breathe.
The sound design made.
The pin simply holds the handle in place. It is only when you let go that this grenade goes boom. Follow me.
I mean, it's his son, right?
Now.
That intimidation thing we talked about.
I am El Presidente, which means that someday you will be El
El
Presidente.
Presidente.
And our people, they do not know how to be happy. They are torn apart by opinions, noise, indecision, strangled by their own freedoms.
Strangle.
Even if you have love in your heart, even if you want what's best for them, if you only want to save them from themselves,
Is he gonna make him throw it?
they will hate you, Diego. Everything you say, do, believe will be wrong.
That is interesting. Oh, come on, kid.
They will answer you with screams. Call
Oh,
you
he's gonna
evil,
throw. No way.
a monster, and give you this.
He's.
So you tell me, are you evil? Are you a monster?
Parental guidance
Because
at its
our
best.
country is like this grenade, except it has two basic parts. Our people and you must clutch them nice and tight, or we all
Oh, okay.
boom.
Okay.
You understand now? Prove it.
Ho 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 ho. Of course,
Watch more from Far
It's-
Cry 6.
ends on a freaking cliffhanger. What should I expect? Damn, boy, that was pretty sick. Actually, I'm looking forward for the breaking it down because it's quite different and it's very heavy on dialogue and what is behind the meaning of the dialogue, which is pretty sick. Okay, sweet. That was freaking awesome. I love the colors and quality was grade S, which you guys told me from League of Legends. Pretty sick. Let's jump over to the title sequence cinematic because those things can be quite creative as well. And then we'll jump back and break them down. So 1, 2, 3, and go! Alligators taste like chicken, man. If you guys ever been to Florida. Giancarlo Esposito, yeah, it was cool. It's kind of like a James Bond opening with cool visuals. Oh, Shockwave! Sweet. Man, the color palette it shows with this red, like it's Lost Red, it's pretty freaking sick. Ooh, nice. Drugs, blood, bullets. Sick. I like the colors, man. Really cool. Whoa. You know what would be sick if we play as the son and the son goes against the father? That would be pretty cool. Okay, so basically the game is if Gus Fring from Breaking Bad would become El Presidento and Rick Havoc basically. So we get to see that and play against him. So that's pretty sick. Anyways, guys, that was awesome. Let's jump back to the trailer and take it step by step. So, full screen. So we have a mini preview, which previews are tricky, man. Some people get really annoyed by it, and I kind of get it, but on the other hand, they serve the purpose of giving you something to look forward to, because unfortunately in today's time, people lose interest very, very quickly if something starts slow-paced. So if you show them something in the beginning of what's coming, they're way more probable to just stick around till that point happens, versus you starting them easy and trying to build up tension, and they basically flee because they're like, boring, I saw 5 next thumbnails that look awesome and I'm just gonna go with those. You know what I mean? So they're tricky. I do get why it gets to some people's nerves, because I do it too at the beginning of the clip. But I don't know, they're fine. I usually try to skip them if it's something I'm really interested in. If it's something that I'm not that interested in, something cool at the beginning, I'm like, okay, cool, I'll stick around to see what's up. So we have the cool little preview, and this is really awesome. We've talked so many times about the importance of transition. Look how perfectly they transition between the real car in flames with the toy car the kid is modeling, which is pretty sick. Usually we've seen this kind of transition when it comes to flashbacks. It's the best way by far to do flashbacks. We saw it in World of Warcraft as well as Cyberpunk and many others actually by now. So pretty sick. Very cool way, guys. Sound is actually way more important than visuals in regards to making something flow, making a scene flow, transition between things, or in general puts you in the shoes of what's happening. You can have mediocre visuals and amazing sound design, and your thing is just gonna be here. If you have stunning visuals and mediocre sound, it's actually not gonna be the same. So some things to keep in mind. Here they do the trick of having a cool music at first and then muffling it to show us that it's, you know, the kid is wearing basically headphones. And then remember, I've showed you this and actually in the last video, which was Overwatch Last Bastion, focus how perfectly symmetrical the composition is, because now we don't have two kind of like things to look at, so we don't divide the image. The subject is perfectly centered, but the camera steadily approaches them. When you have a very slow methodical approaching camera movement, we're supposed to come close to the character, versus if you do the reverse thing, it makes us feel that they're getting distant. The doors open. This would be an example of composition of thirds. Now we have two subjects to focus on, one subject in one third, the other subject in the other third. Very cinematically done as well. The fact that they all chose to simulate the windows light rays coming in to give a very cool contrasty scene makes things really cool. If you guys ever wonder why things in film look so cinematic, it's the same reason of what I just explained. Basically compositing, making a very cool composition, and it comes to the lighting, how you shoot it, and all the things like that. But even this kind of like studio setup here that you guys see makes the same exact techniques, which is a single point of light, very soft, because we're lighting the subject, which is me, I guess, is a person, and when you lighting a person, you want the light to be soft so it doesn't cast harsh shadows and it's weird, like for example when you're out in the sun. And then we have contrast of very high contrast with the black background, as well as a nice little like flare light on the side. Just things to keep in mind. So our guy comes in, very classic thing to show their shoes for some reason as they walk. It makes it very dramatic, or over the shoulder sometimes, but to not show the face.
It's beautiful, amigo.
And of course they start talking without us looking at their face, because voice, tone of voice, and of course what you say bears a lot of weight actually. And in this specific cinematic specifically, it is really important because what he says is actually very deep.
Perfect.
Perfect.
but useless.
But useless. See? Perfect. But useless. Can you imagine being a kid and hearing this? Like, what you made is perfect, but completely useless. It's like, you know, it's like psychological warfare, man. So, our guy is here. Look how intimidating this shot they chose to simulate is. We're not only on his level, of course, it's a kid and it's sitting down versus the dad, and the dad is obviously taller because he's an adult, but also the camera is way over his head, looking down on the kid as if we are following him and we're even taller and we're like just like shadowing everything, because that creates the notion that we're in absolute control over the other person, basically.
I have something for you, Diego. Give me
Now
a
he's gonna
kiss.
sit down. The freaking grenade, man. And now we reveal the grenade. The animation is very well done in this one. Like, it's still, they don't go for absolute realism, but actually the little notions of how his eyes, lips and hair moves is pretty good. Kind of, oh, I'm gonna be terrible now. Kind of reminds me of, oh, what was that cartoon thing with the girl?
The grenade is simple. It has 4 basic parts. The shell, which contains the explosive.
Notice the utter lack of soundtrack. What he says is really important, so they're only using natural occurring sounds. The soundtracks is gonna come later, and usually can start with a riser and then go into the soundtracks. But here, they don't need a soundtrack to amplify the scene. The scene already has so much tension, especially because of the actor's voice performance and of course the script itself, that they don't need any of that. So just because of what is happening and the voice of tone and what is being said, we're absolutely captivated because someone just gave his kid a grenade.
Fuse, the handle, and of course, the pin.
Notice the sound. Pop.
What are you doing?
That is sick.
Breathe,
That is the perfect way of sound design.
Diego. Breathe. The pin simply holds the handle in place.
Isn't it very interesting that we do not see him talking, or we just see his mouth talking, but we do not see his expression? His voice alone is carrying the whole thing.
It is only when you let go that this grenade goes boom.
Really cool. I love the design of the colors, like I said. It's actually really tricky because usually you would go for a contrast in color, as we've talked before. For example, red, blue. I don't know if this is in Mexico or wherever it might be, but Mexico and Spanish cities or countries basically, in film, they're portrayed in a very warm tone. The color scheme, the color grade is very warm in general, but what the problem that comes with that is that you can have a lot of contrast in color if everything is warm toned. For example, if it was cold toned, then you could play with contrast of red. But actually they did a sick job because they're using the red color, but it's not the classic red, it's like lust red, to put very cool accents, whether it is the smoke being red or his details with his belt and the things being red, or even the kid's inner shirt being red as well. So even though they're on the same tone scheme in terms of a color wheel, let's say, they've actually done a great job with making it look so freaking cool.
Follow me.
So the kid is basically bracing himself. No. This is the complete opposite of the beginning scene, as we guys said, if you remember when I told you about the symmetry and him being in the center. Now focus how the camera pans backwards. That makes us feel distant to the character, or that the character is being in a very disoriented state. And of course, because grenades.
I am El Presidente.
See, look how toned down the sky is, but that last red smoke
Which
is
means
very
that someday you will be El Presidente.
good. What he says here is really sick,
And our
actually.
people, they
This.
do not know how to be happy. They are torn apart by opinion.
And we're always following the kid. We do not pay much attention to how the guy is expressing himself, but we're focusing on how the kid reacts to what he's saying.
Opinions, noise, indecision, strangled
That is such a sick line, man.
opinions. They do not know how to be happy. They are torn apart by opinion.
They are torn apart by opinions.
Noise, indecision.
Indecision. So we need to take that from them and they'll be happy.
Strangled by their own freedoms.
Strangled by their own freedoms. Man, whoever wrote the script, freaking A, guys.
And even if you have love in your heart,
This is important. This is trying to replicate the fact that the kid is straying to the path that the dad wants him to, and that is portrayed with the step and the sound that he makes when he makes the step.
even if you want what's best for them, if you
Very
only
subtle.
want to save them from themselves.
That is very interesting. You know when someone opens the door and pure light comes in? And it's
They will
blinding.
hate you, Diego.
But it's very interesting because instead of going out to something beautiful, they're going out to chaos.
Everything you say, do, believe will be wrong.
That is true as well. When there's chaos, no matter what you say, no matter what you try to, the way you try to help is gonna be, there people are still gonna just like eat you alive, basically. What a cool scene. Now we have his full face, full expression in the frame.
They will answer you with screams,
And
call you evil, a monster.
sick. So now, again, it's very nicely portrayed. We have a bit of a bird's eye view to showcase kind of like a greater area of what they're looking at. And of course, we have the extreme looking up to them versus looking down on them. Now we do have music, by the way. As I said before, after the kid starts climbing up the stairs and going out to this, now music, kind of menacing music, is played.
So
It
you
starts
tell me,
building up because now we know, is he gonna make him throw it? Like, what's gonna be?
are you evil?
Are you?
Are you
Have a bit of slow.
a monster?
It's very interesting, that kind of like contrast between real time of what the main characters go and what needs to be done being in slow motion.
Because our country is like this grenade, except it has two basic parts. Our
Instead of three, get it?
people
By showing people, you show them in complete disarray just to make the contrast between.
and you must clutch them nice and tight, or we all go boom.
Sick. And it did go boom. They just like showcasing the chaos. Really sick. And of course, the classic filmmaking tool, which I'm not proud of, I must say, which is cliffhangers.
Prove it.
Yeah. The soundtrack cuts. We can hear the kid, and then it will cut. Riser. And of course, just a tiny bit of flickering. You know what the worst cliffhanger of not last, but like basically, what was it? Star Wars Force Awakens, we see Luke, Rey does this, cliffhanger, on a cliff. Like, guys, that was terrible. Awesome, sick, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let's go, it's really quick, and I want to show you one or two things that I noticed in the cinematic title sequence as well, because it has a cool song. So when it comes to the cinematic title sequences, the number one kind of trick everyone is using is how they transition without cutting between every single shot, and then the titles comes in. So if you notice, guys, we have the eye of the alligator. Inside the eye of the alligator, we have this. Then we cut to that. Then from this, based on the shape, is gonna transition to the next one, and on to the next one. So basically, if you guys focus, the same color scheme is very prominent again, by the way. So you throw the thing goes boom, we have the cool shockwave, the shockwave turns to the rotating car, kind of like doing a donut with the same kind of color scheme smoke, which then turns to the wheel of the car, which then turns to this, which then turns to the glass. So I'm sure you guys are getting what I'm saying with all this. Basically, you have very artistic kind of like shots that are all linked by the shape or the movement or things like that. So now we go in, the bloodstream, then the blood kind of thing turns to this. So here they do use contrasting color, which is that teal cyan as well as the last red, kind of like, what do you say? The kind of like drugs become shells, become shoots. We have this kind of like poster looking thing that turns to the gold bar, right? Yeah, see, everything flows very artistically. The gold, the safe. Minimal titles, I must say. I might have done them a bit bigger just because you can get lost in them a bit because the artistic scenery is so pretty. A bit very high, of course. Soundtrack and the kid's eye and this. Anyways, really sick. Cool, that was awesome. Okay guys, what did you think? Are you guys excited for the game? I played a few Far Cry games, but I haven't played the last ones. I would say 5 and the expansion. I didn't do that one. Let me guys know, are you excited? Go against freaking Gus Fring as a, how did he say? El Presidente. Pretty sick. Okay guys, thank you for watching another episode of Filmmaker React. Make sure to check the links down below for Instagram, as well as a big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring another episode. And you guys are sick. I'll catch you guys on the next one. And until then, stay awesome and creative.